Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have a Netflix 385th film from 2021. It's the Swedish comedy drama called Dancing Queens. It's directed by Helena Bergström and stars Molly Nutley, Fredrik Quinones, Marie Goranson, and Matthias Nogfitz. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today for this Netflix original film. As always, if you haven't seen this film and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on because we will spoil the film as we go throughout this episode. This is an international film, so it's going to be a bit of a short episode. There's not an awful lot I could find out about this film, but we do start our show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, it's about a young wannabe dancer who hides her gender to get a start at a drag club. Interesting, intriguing. If that intrigues you, give it a watch because we're going to kick into it. So around the world, what's this called? Obviously, Dancing Queens is in relation to a very famous ABBA song that some of you may know too, but obviously dancing is... and Queens in relation to drag as well. So that all ties in well. In Portuguese, it's called Queens of the Stage. In French, it's called Dancing with the Queens, not bad. And in Chinese, it is called Transforming into a Dancing Queen. I don't mind that one either. In this film, there's lots of famous Swedish actors. I obviously don't know any of them, but Molly Nutley plays the main character, Dylan. She's actually the daughter of the director of the film, Helena Bergström, and the producer of the film too, Colin Nutley. So a bit of a family affair, this film. The man who sings opera in the Italian restaurant in the scene in this film as well. He's a real-life opera singer and well-known in Sweden as well. And also Robert Fuchs, who comes as a guest to the drag show. He plays this bit of a cameo role. He's one of the best drag artists in Sweden as well. So F-U-X Robert Fuchs. So that's him there as well. This film was released on Netflix during the Gay and Lesbian Pride Month to highlight some of the themes and ideas in this film as well. I guess you need to sort of be mindful of is there's a Netflix original show also on the streamer called Dancing Queen. So don't get them confused. If you're going to watch this one, make sure it's the film, the one that goes for about 2 hours, not multiple episodes as well. This did hit Netflix on the 3rd of June 2021, and it was filmed in and around Ulricehamn in Sweden. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, sits at 40%. That's only on 5 critic reviews, so that is definitely rotten. Audience a little bit higher, sits at a 58%. That's on less than 50 ratings. IMDb sits at a 5.8 out of 10 on 2,300 ratings, and on Letterboxd it sits at a 2.6 out of 5 on 2,300 ratings, and it's been logged by nearly 3,500 people. There's nothing on Metacritic. The ratings here tell us not many people have actually seen this film, because you'd probably say that this probably is more a film that people from Sweden would know or have seen. What are my early thoughts on this one? I think that it's a film that means well, but it's probably too sickly sweet at times. Molly Nutley, I feel like she's mesmerizing at times on the screen and carries this film, as does Tommy, the Tommy character as well. So some big performances, and overall, like it's an okay film. Let's talk about the character. So Dylan, she's our main protagonist. This film is about her. She's this young girl who's stuck on this isolated island, almost like a country-like location. It's cold, it's wet, it's miserable. She's depressed, her dad's depressed, they barely speak, and this is because his wife and her mother's recently passed away, and Dylan herself is struggling and has to work in the family shop to support the dad, while also holding onto these dreams of making it big in the dance world, because her mum, and she wants to acknowledge her memory too, was a dancer, and set up this dancing school which Dylan's taken over and teaches young kids how to dance too. So that's her story. She wants to make it big, but she's torn between looking out for her family and also wanting to achieve her own goals as well. We then sort of head off to some other side characters. There's not an awful lot to talk about, but Victor is this star dancer at this drag club that almost discovers Dylan and sort of encourages her to perform, and is that person in the big city that she breaks away from to sort of push her ambitions and her dreams. The Tommy character I sort of mentioned before, he's this old screen drag performer who's very over the top, likes old disco songs, doesn't like new music or new disco, but he's also struggling himself with grief and the loss of this character called Jackie, who we never actually meet in the timeline, but it's this assumed partner and dancer on stage too that meant a lot to Tommy, and he needs to break out of that rut, and maybe this young, fresh Dylan is the person to do that too. Kenneth is Dylan's dad, who we spoke about, depressed, lonely, named her after Bob Dylan because he loves Bob Dylan. He likes to play his guitar and have their dog listening to that as well. So he's struggling. Mickey is this guy at the drag club who's running the show. He's the one who found Victor, I guess, and brought him across and appears to be obsessively in love with him and can't let go of him and doesn't like him sort of branching out and sort of mentoring Dylan either. Sebi is this character and Dylan's best friend since childhood, I guess. And the opening shot of him is almost this clear throwaway meet cute love interest shot for Dylan, and he has these expectations from his family that he's going to stay in this small village and take over the hotel where his dad works, and he needs to be manly and all this sort of stuff. And I guess that sort of explains his character twist at the end of the film, which we'll talk about soon too. Grandma is Dylan's grandma. She's the one that's pulling all the strings for her and supporting her and following her dreams and keeping the shop going in the town while she's in the big city following her dance ambitions. And the last character I'll touch on is Vera. There's so many other characters around the drag club too, but Vera's the only other character I'll mention. This is Grandma's friend who gives Dylan a place to stay in the city, and apparently she knew Dylan's mum and dad, and reveals that she was a foster sister to her mum, and by the sounds of it, very awkwardly, possibly made a romantic leap for Dylan's dad, which is a bit awkward and sort of makes it a little bit obvious that they're probably going to end up together at the end of this film as well. So that was probably a little bit frustrating as well. All right, the director, Helena Bergstrom. 7 directing credits, but looks like has made her name as an actress, has 45 acting roles, so big name possibly in Sweden. Not much I could find out about her. Let's talk about some scenes from the film. What worked, what didn't work. The things that worked for me, there's a lot of references. Obviously, this is about drag queens. There's a lot of references to Australia's own Dame Edna. I enjoyed all of those. Dame Edna's played a big part in my childhood and things like that, so very, very cool to hear her named in a film, multiple times too. There's a scene where Victor takes Dylan to this Italian restaurant where they sort of tell each other their life stories. I thought that was quite sweet. And then another sweet moment is where Dylan sits down and talks to Vera about how she's feeling at that time, being away from home, and the guilt about having fun in the city while her grandma and dad are still depressed about their mother. And then also that feeling of being away from home almost feels like she's losing her mum more and more too. So that was a nice scene too. Tommy, this drag queen, he sings "I Will Survive" in this big red dress, and the rest of the dancers all come out of the bottom of the dress. I thought that was good as well, and just was upbeat and happy. And finally, too, Dylan says that, this is after there's a bit of a kerfuffle where it's revealed that Dylan's a girl, and she sort of apologizes to Mikey, saying that it was wrong to lie, but that she didn't steal his boyfriend. I thought that was a bit laughable at times as well. What didn't work? Sebi, I've got a few issues with Sebi. Sebi's this, the love interest I mentioned before, the best friend of Dylan since they were kids, and he comes home after a night out with his dad drunk. He uses his keys to break into Dylan and her dad's shop, wakes her up next door above the shop where she's sleeping. He's in there eating the food off the shelves, and then he goes in to kiss her and says, "This would be good for us." I guess that might have a different meaning when I speak in a second. But then he talks about them having a baby like it would be great. And he says, "All I want is you." And he's like, "Sorry, you're my sister. It's incest." Like, come on, that was a really poor line. And set up this romantic connection that was never going to happen, which we'll talk about again too. Victor sees Dylan cleaning the club. And then, he hadn't met her, but this is the first time they meet. And he asks her to stand in and dance with him. And she goes full grinding the stage. And they dance together. It was super lame. And then this connects back to Sebi. Like, Sebi comes to the show at the end and reveals Dylan's secret about her being a girl and not a drag queen, and that he's gay as well, and that's why he's at the club. Like, seriously, there's 20 minutes to go of this film, which sucks because all of this resolution is revealed the secret. There's only 20 minutes to go. They've got to all become friends again and rush it all in 20 minutes, and that connects with that idea before too. Like, there was no reason not to think that he was interested in her when he was drunk. So for him to then come out at the end to sort of tie in with the themes and ideas of this film, it felt a little bit off to me. The themes, I guess, we'll talk about the themes and the ideas and the motifs in this one. So overcoming grief plays a big part, and chasing your dreams too. And that idea, art, it's gender neutral. You shouldn't have to identify as male or female. You should just be human and express your feelings through art. I think that's important. Identity plays a big part, who you are. And homophobia, I guess, is briefly glanced upon. There's a moment where Victor's walking through a subway station and gets attacked just for the way he looks, I think. But that could have been played on more. And honesty too, being true to yourself and others and not lying. We see Dylan lies to her dad and her grandma and her peers, and the trouble that can get you in, and as well as having someone that believes in you, like a grandma. That's super important too if you don't have parents that are super close or able to do that for you as well. What did I take away from this one? I think the soundtrack, it was a good mix of classic songs that everyone knows with some other sort of recent bangers that I hadn't heard before. There was one song, though, I just couldn't believe the lyrics. I think it was along the lines of, "My nipples are hard from head to toe," or something like that. I was just like, come on. Like, if you're going to use English words and English language in songs, you've got to make sure that they're not too, a bit too... I don't know. I don't even know how to express what I feel about those lyrics. Anyway, some questions, some thoughts, some ponderings. The opening scene, we see Dylan obviously setting the scene that her mother's no longer around. She's at her mother's grave. And she has like these battery-operated lights and things that make it all look nice, good mise-en-scène. But that location, like this island that she lives on, it looks so cold and dreary and wet that surely there'd be so much moisture in these battery-operated things that they would not be working. That I couldn't get away from that. There's a scene where all the drag members, like Dylan performs, they're all impressed. They all come in to congratulate her and, talk about how good she is. And they all sit in this change room and not one of them questions the idea that she's a girl. I just thought it was ridiculous. It's a little bit too hard to believe because she was sitting there with her hair out and pretending to do this deep voice that wasn't very deep at all. And I can't not mention these all too convenient resolutions. In that last 20 minutes I was talking about, like Sebi ends up with his boyfriend, comes out to his parents and it's all good. And apparently the mum knew about it. So that's cool, even though he was professing his love for Dylan in the opening scenes. We've got Dylan getting an audition for a stage show because, surprise, Victor, he's mentioned he has a second job, and his second job was actually being in a big show dancing, and he's got her an audition. So that was a great resolution for her. And then Tommy, he's got over Jackie apparently because now he's with someone else, so that's all good. And then the dad ends up with this Vera chick, and I'm sure Victor and Dylan are going to be together too. And this is all just in that last 20 minutes, and to me, it was too much to fathom. Other than that, let's wrap this one up. I probably whacked it more than I meant to. Like, it's not that bad. I think the locations, they look great. It's well shot. It's performed well. It's just sort of let down by this quick closure and resolution at the end and a few plot points and character traits that leave a lot to be desired at times. And I didn't even mention like the supporting characters at the drag show or the ladies who work behind the bar there and their Tinder dates and going on holidays and things like. There's so much other stuff I could have talked about, but let's keep it short. Let's keep it succinct. Out of 5 stars, I'm giving this a 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. It's an okay score. We are on socials. We have Facebook. We have Instagram, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. Give us a follow. Give us a like if you can on the post for today. I just wanted to know if you think that this film is respectful of drag culture. I think it is. Like my personal, I think it is. I think it does a good job of treading the lines and showing it in such a positive light. So I think that's a real positive as well. What are your thoughts? Let us know. Other than that, we are back next week with another international film from 2021. This one is from South Korea. It's a romantic comedy called Sweet and Sour, or Sakuman Dalkam. It's directed by Lee Gui-bok and stars Jang Ki-yong, Chae Soo-bin, and Crystal Jung. So give that one a watch if you're interested. I've got no idea what it's about. Never heard of it, but we're going to check it out next week. Hope you do too. As always, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week.